If I offered you a proposition where you put a revolver to your head, and that revolver has 1,000,000 chambers and only one bullet, and if you survive the trigger pull, I give you $1,000,000, most of you would take the bet. You would look at the odds, you would calculate the risk-adjusted return, and you would tell yourself it is a mathematical certainty that you will be rich. Now, if I offered you the same bet, but the revolver has 6 chambers and 5 bullets, you would call the police and have me committed to an asylum. Somewhere between those two extremes lies the current state of the American financial mind, which has frankly turned into a sewer of irrationality. I see the headlines this week. JPMorgan, a bank that should know better, is putting out reports saying Bitcoin could surge to $240,000. We have Ray Dalio, a man I respect, warning that AI stocks are in a bubble. Yet everyone is piling into Nvidia and Broadcom like it is the last train leaving a burning station. We have young people inheriting fortunes from their parents' 401ks, and instead of buying a nice, dull business that makes ketchup or razor blades, they are looking for the next digital token that does absolutely nothing. You are not investing. You are speculating on the behavior of other people who are even more delusional than you are. This is not a strategy for building durable wealth. It is a game of musical chairs set to a ticking time bomb. You are simply hoping to find a seat before the music stops and the flimsy structure collapses into a pile of worthless digital dust. It is rat poison, and the fact that the price of the rat poison is going up does not turn it into a nutritious meal. I am going to take a few minutes today to walk you through why this obsession with price action is the ultimate road to ruin, and why I would rather own a laundromat in Omaha than all the crypto in the world. But first, I want to be fair. I want to steelman the argument for this insanity, because if you don't understand the argument of the man across the table, you have no business debating him. The argument for buying these speculative assets, whether it is Bitcoin, or the 35th AI startup that has no revenue, or a prediction market on Robinhood, is based on a premise that is partially true. The premise is that the US dollar is going to zero in terms of purchasing power. They look at the government printing press, they look at the debt ceiling, which is really just a floor, and they say, "Charlie, cash is trash." They are right about that. Over the last 100 years, the dollar has lost 99% of its value, and it will probably lose another 99% in the next 100. So the argument goes, you need a store of value that the government cannot print. They tell me that Bitcoin is scarce. They tell me there is a fixed supply. They tell me that institutions are buying it, that BlackRock is buying it, that it is the new gold for a digital age. They tell me that AI is the 4th industrial revolution, and that if I don't buy these chip stocks trading at 80 times earnings, I am an old dinosaur who doesn't understand that the world has changed. They have mistaken a speculative frenzy for a true paradigm shift. This is a very common error when the intoxication of easy money clouds all rational judgment. It demonstrates a profound lack of historical perspective. They say, "Charlie, look at the chart. It went up." And that is the most seductive argument of all. When your neighbor, who is an idiot, makes a fortune doing something stupid, it drives you crazy. It is the strongest force in the human psyche, envy. You see the price of these things climbing 10% in a day, and you think you are missing out on the greatest transfer of wealth in history. The promoters of this sewage tell you that you are buying the future. They tell you that the old rules of valuation, cash flow, dividends, tangible assets, do not apply because we are entering a new paradigm. They make a very compelling case that the current financial system is broken and that you need an exit hatch. I give them that. The system is flawed, but their solution is not an exit hatch. It is a trapdoor. Now, let me tell you why they are wrong, and why this will end in tears for the majority of people involved. It comes down to a very simple mental model that I have used for 80 years. The distinction between a productive asset and a non-productive asset. Let us perform a thought experiment. Suppose you have two choices for your capital. Choice A is all the gold in the world. We will melt it down into a giant cube. It will be beautiful. You can stroke it, you can fondle it, you can look at it and feel very rich. But it will not do anything. If you come back in 100 years, the cube will be the exact same size. It will not have produced a single ounce of new gold, nor any food, nor any service. It just sits there, looking shiny, hoping someone else will pay you more for it later. Its value is purely a social construct, a collective hallucination that persists only as long as new believers join. It represents the profound illusion of wealth without creation. This is a siren song for lazy minds. That is Bitcoin. That is gold. That is a collectible baseball card. Now consider choice B. For the same price as that cube of gold, you could buy all the farmland in the United States. Plus, you could buy ExxonMobil. Plus, you could buy all the apartment buildings in New York City. Now, fast forward 100 years, the farmland has produced a century's worth of food to feed the world. The oil company has powered civilization and paid out trillions in dividends. The apartment buildings have sheltered millions of families and collected rent every single month. And at the end of the 100 years, you still have the land, the oil reserves, and the buildings. Now, you tell me, which person is going to be wealthier? The person with the shiny cube that did nothing, or the person with the assets that worked for them every single day? It is not even close. The productive assets will crush the non-productive assets over any meaningful period of time. The problem with buying things like crypto or overpriced AI stocks that don't make money yet is that you are relying entirely on the greater fool theory. You are buying something not for what the asset itself will produce for you, but because you hope a greater fool will come along next week and pay you more for it. And the terrifying thing about the greater fool theory is that eventually you run out of fools. We are seeing this right now with the tech stocks. I read a report about AppLovin and Broadcom surging. People are buying these things because they think AI is magic. But do you know how hard it is for a business to sustain the kind of growth priced into these stocks? Competition is brutal. Technology changes. Governments get involved. When you buy a stock at a PEE of 100, you are betting that everything will go perfectly for the next 20 years. In my life, I have rarely seen anything go perfectly for 20 minutes, let alone 20 years. The math is against you. It is simple arithmetic. If you buy a business that earns a 2% yield on your purchase price, and you hold it for a decade, you are going to get a result that looks a lot like 2%. It doesn't matter if the stock chart wiggles up and down in the meantime. Your return is tethered to the business reality. But with these speculative tokens, there is no business reality. There is no yield. There is no rent. There is only belief. And belief is a very fickle thing. Let me take you back to history, because none of this is new. You all think you are living through unique times. You are not. Human folly is the only renewable resource that never runs out. In the early 1700s, there was a company called the South Sea Company in England. It was the AI stock of its day. It had a monopoly on trade with South America. The story was incredible. The potential was limitless. Everyone bought in. Even Isaac Newton, one of the smartest men who ever lived, bought shares. The stock went up 10 times in a few months. Newton sold and made a nice profit of £7,000. He felt like a genius. But then the stock kept going up and up. And Newton watched his friends getting rich while he sat on the sidelines. He couldn't stand it. The envy consumed him. So he went back in. He bought back in at the very top, putting in everything he had. And then the bubble burst. The South Sea Company had no real earnings, no real trade, just a good story. Newton lost £20,000, which was a fortune back then. He famously said, "I can calculate the motions of the heavenly bodies, but not the madness of people." If Isaac Newton, the man who invented calculus, could be bankrupted by FOMO, what chance do you think you have trading meme coins on Robinhood? You are not smarter than Isaac Newton. You are just more arrogant. We saw the same thing in the Nifty 50 in the 1970s. We saw it in the dot-com bubble in 1999. I remember people buying pets.com. They thought the internet would change the world, and they were right. The internet did change the world, but pets.com still went to zero, because a good macro story does not justify a bad micro price. Just because AI is going to be big does not mean every AI stock is a buy. Just because the dollar is losing value does not mean Bitcoin is the answer. You have to be disciplined. You have to look for value. You have to be willing to look stupid while everyone else looks smart. That is the hardest part of investing. It is the ability to sit on your hands and do nothing for years at a time. The big money is not in the buying and the selling, but in the waiting. Patience is a superpower in a world addicted to instant gratification. It is a competitive advantage that is difficult to teach. It is the one quality that separates the truly wealthy from the temporarily rich. But modern society has attention deficit disorder. You check your phone every 30 seconds. You see the red and green flashing lights. You feel the dopamine hit. This is not investing. It is a casino. And the house always wins in the end. So what should you do? I see these young kids inheriting money, $300,000 from a 401k, and asking what to do. The answer is so boring it will make you cry. You find a business that you can understand, a business with a moat around it, and a business that throws off cash, and you buy it at a fair price. Or, if you are not capable of analyzing businesses, and most of you are not, you buy a low-cost index fund that owns all of American business, and then you go do something else with your life. You read a book. You learn a skill. You spend time with your family. You let the compound interest work for you. It is slow. It is unsexy. You will not get rich next Tuesday, but you will get rich eventually, and more importantly, you will stay rich. The problem with getting rich quick is that you usually get poor quick right afterwards. Easy come, easy go. I have seen many men rise like a rocket and fall like a stick. I would rather be the tortoise. The tortoise eventually owns the racetrack. So when you see JPMorgan telling you Bitcoin is going to the moon, remember that JPMorgan earns fees on every transaction you make. They don't care if you make money. They care if you trade. When you see the crowd running in one direction, your first instinct should be to pause and check your wallet. Inversion. Always invert. Ask yourself, if this is a bubble, what will the aftermath look like? The aftermath is a lot of people holding digital bags, wondering where their retirement went. Don't be one of them. Be rational. Be patient. And for God's sake, stay away from the rat poison. I have nothing more to add.